Okay, you're listening to KRUI in Iowa City, 89.7 FM on the radio, krui.fm to stream online. My name is Justin Comer. This show is called iHearIC. It showcases local talent and a bunch of other stuff. We just kind of talk about music and whatever. Today I have in the studio with me my occasional co-host, Carlos.
Hello, I'm back.
Yes, welcome back, Carlos. And we have a special guest in the studio today, Matt Blair.
Hello.
Woo! Hey,
Thanks
Matt.
for having me.
All right, so Matt came down from Minneapolis for the weekend to play on the Feed Me Weird Things concert series.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, maybe we should just recap our weekend real quick.
Okay.
To get the show started. So Friday night, Carlos, you had something going on. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so Asher Brown, who's a singer-songwriter originally from Cedar Rapids, I believe.
Yeah.
Who also lives in Minneapolis now. He's going to be playing on a cruise for like 5 months or something like that. So he asked if anybody wanted to do a show with him in Iowa before he went there, and I said yes. So I opened for him with my project Black Stork. So that was that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day after, also at Trumpet Blossom, Justin and Mr. Will Yeager and I opened for Matt Blair.
Yes.
Yeah, and everything was great. And if you were not there, then too bad for you.
Also, 2 hours before that show, I played another gig.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Improvised some accompaniment for a dance piece, choreographed by iHearIC Picasso, and the dancer's name was Christine Howe. And that was in Coralville.
Good.
Yes.
Was it fun?
Yep.
Good.
I had a big, long day yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Matt, do you want to maybe tell us what you do?
Yeah. So I'm on tour right now in support of a solo piano recording I just released. It's called Shadow Sets. And I have been touring, doing either solo piano shows or solo shows on Fender Rhodes and electronics and some other preparation, which is what I did last night. And I've been out for just about a month, and it's been great. The record, I had the opportunity of working with the drummer from the Bad Plus, Dave King, on. He produced it and really actually made it happen. So
awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen without him. So I recorded everything at I went to Lawrence University last year and had recorded everything there, but unfortunately the audio was not able to be used, and I had started to develop a relationship with Dave through booking him to come play at Lawrence, and he had taken a liking to my music, I guess. And when I told him what had happened after the initial recording session, he set everything up in the Twin Cities once I moved, and has been a really great mentor and kind of guiding light for this whole process of putting out a record and touring it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've recorded this album twice.
Yeah, actually, I recorded it 4 times at Lawrence because I had 2 days of recording, which made like the audio not working kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to spend on something that doesn't get released.
Yeah, and then, but I'm happy about it. I think the best session was up in Minneapolis, so
That's good.
it worked out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it is solo piano?
Solo
Dave
piano.
didn't play on it at all?
No,
Just
he
produced
did
it?
not.
Cool.
He just produced it, and his son did the artwork.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah.
All right. At some point, we want you to play in the studio, but I feel like it'd be premature to jump into that now.
Okay.
But,
Well, do you want to do some biographical information?
yeah, sure. So you're in Minneapolis now.
Yeah.
You're a pianist. You're a composer. You improvise.
Yeah.
You're also a teacher, correct?
Also a teacher.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Teach beginning piano.
where were you before Minneapolis?
Appleton, Wisconsin, which is where Lawrence University
Right.
is, and I did my undergrad there. I'm originally from Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, cool. I like
Yeah.
Madison.
Madison is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you been to Madison, Carlos?
No, I don't even know if I've been
You
to
should go.
Wisconsin at all.
Yeah, we should just go play a show in Madison.
There you go.
There's a great new spot up there that would be perfect for you guys.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can try to do that.
Yeah.
It's not very far. Madison's only like a 3-hour drive from here.
Okay.
3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. It's not bad.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
Take me there. I'll play.
Let's plan a tour on air. So you're from Madison, went to school in Appleton, now you're in Minneapolis. Anything in between?
Nothing in between.
Okay.
I lived in New York City for one summer.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
But that was for like a jazz internship that I was doing. But yeah, the home bases have been Madison and Appleton, and a brief stint in Decorah, Iowa. But
Oh, Decorah, yeah. Yeah, we know people that have spent time in Decorah.
Yeah, well, actually, he knows German.
You know Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we had freshman theory togetber. But
Awesome.
I don't know if you'd remember me at all.
Yeah, Jeremy conducted a piece that we
yeah,
performed last Saturday.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then also, so when you were at the university, what were you studying?
I studied music. I designed my own major. Lawrence is, they have like a classical program, and you can get like a jazz emphasis, but you're still basically getting like a classical degree in whatever instrument, or if you do composition. But I designed a major that was like, I called it like a contemporary improvisation major.
Okay.
And it let me kind of dabble in a lot of different things, composition, classical piano, jazz, teaching. So, but it was like a Bachelor of Music degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos, can you raise the mic up just a little bit?
Yes.
Matt and I are much louder than you right now on the recording.
Well, it's for those of you just listening, my mic is kind of limp right now. Is it good now?
Oh, that's way better. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Nice. Okay. You lived in New York for a summer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning any future moves?
I'm not
very
sure
focused
yet.
on where you live.
Yeah. Well, I mean, location is something that can be really important, and I'm learning that there's a lot of great stuff in kind of unexpected places as I'm touring more. Specifically here, last night was amazing, and I think what Chris is doing with Feed Me Weird Things and is like very inspiring to know that you don't always have to be in a major like urban metropolis or whatever to have this kind of music going on. So I think Minneapolis is good for right now, and eventually it'd be nice to go somewhere else, maybe back out east or to Chicago or something. But I'm not sure how soon or when that will happen.
Yeah, I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just interested.
It's okay.
So you and I talked a little bit about your tour last night. Where are you going after this?
I'm playing Elastic Arts in Chicago tomorrow night.
Very
cool. Then that's basically it. I'm going to Milwaukee for a couple of days, but I'm doing like a corporate gig there.
Nice. Yeah, so this is like the end of your current tour.
Which is nice. Yeah.
So where were you before?
So on Friday I was in Omaha, and the previous week I was on tour with a quartet of mine called Shaper. It's like a free improvising Rhodes saxophone, bass, and drums group that is all Minneapolis-based musicians. But we met at Lawrence, and so that was the week before that, and then the couple weeks before that were all solo shows, mostly through Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. Were the places I went.
No.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. What kind of improvisation do you do with Shaper?
I think one of the interesting things about this tour is that we're kind of trying to figure it out
Okay,
while
so
we were
you're
playing.
still exploring. Good.
Yeah, and I think we like to do some sort of like textural drone-based stuff, but it can also get into a little bit of like the free jazz zone too, and we're still trying to navigate, I think, what feels like it's most connected to all of our individual personalities and the group personality. And I don't think I have an answer yet. So
Cool. Yeah. Do you plan anything out, or do you guys just get on stage and go for it?
we talk a lot, and then usually just go for it. Yeah, I think we rehearsed a lot, like in the last like 6 months, almost like every week, just trying different things. And the band has gone through a few different phases of like, for a second it was playing like a bunch of my original music, and then we stopped doing that and like kind of focused a little bit on playing like Ornette Coleman tunes and things like that. And then now we're just improvising. But so it's still kind of a new thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does everybody have a jazz background in the band? Or?
Yeah, to varying degrees. The saxophonist is also like a great songwriter and plays in. Actually, he's the saxophonist in Wild Firth.
Wild Firth, who I have seen, yes.
Yeah, our
on
connection.
tour with my friend Jordan Blue.
Yeah. And then the other guys have backgrounds in jazz and classical and some other like world music kind of stuff too.
Cool. All right, we've reached a lull. I'm going to read the weather a few minutes early if you want to get ready to play.
Sure.
All right, so in a few minutes here, we're going to listen to Matt play his Fender Rhodes. What are you going to play before we get into that?
Yeah, well, so I wanted to do something a little bit different, at least for this first piece tonight, or something different than what I did last night.
Right.
So I'm going to play a piece that's off of my record, and it's entitled Shadow Sets. And this is a through-composed song, and the intention when I was writing it was to try and write something that felt more like a song than like something that's a jumping point for improvisation or like a through-composed like classical new music piece. Mm-hmm. And so the challenge with this tour has been trying to figure out how to take the ideas and music from this record and put it on the Rhodes, which is a completely different instrument, and maybe we can talk about that more. But yeah, so this piece is I think pretty different than what
You did not play this last night.
I did not play this last night.
Okay, so this will be new to Carlos and I. And hopefully new to all of the listeners. All right, let's talk about the weather while Matt gets ready to play. It is 4:26 p.m. Weather.com says, expect occasional thunderstorms to continue for the next several hours. There will be isolated thunderstorms. Nothing happening right now, but, you know, at any moment, the rain could start falling. And current temperature is 58 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like 55 degrees Fahrenheit. 30% chance of precipitation. I think it should be higher than that if there are thunderstorms, right?
I
don't know, whatever.
But it might be the average or something.
Yeah, 94% humidity and winds moving 12 miles per hour from the southeast. All right, you ready to go, Matt? All right, let's hear it. All right, that was a live in studio performance by Matt Blair, performing his piece Shadow Sets from the album of the same name. Carlos, I want to ask Matt about his pedals.
Oh yeah.
You want to learn more about the effects pedals that Matt uses?
Well, I think I pretty much know already what you have just by looking at it yesterday. So you have a TC Electronics Hall of Fame 2, which is a reverb. You have a MXR Carbon Copy, which is an analog delay. The Blue Boss, I'm not sure where it is.
It's a chorus pedal.
Okay, there you go. And then you have Proco Rat and another TC Electronics Dito X4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Looper, yeah.
Okay, and now you all know that I am sick.
Yeah, Carlos got all those by looking across the room at Matt's pedal.
No. I looked at them yesterday too, but like briefly.
So you just memorized the setup last night.
No, but I mean, what is not very clear to me is like actually how are you getting the signal from the Rhodes, or I mean, I guess just like the signal path in general.
Yeah, it's just going like there's a 1/4 inch out from the Rhodes, and I also have this like micro mixer, which I have a contact mic hooked up to.
Okay.
And that goes into the pedal board, and then just the pedal board goes into my powered speaker.
Okay.
So then it's very similar to a guitar, I think.
So, but then you're mixing both the normal way of hooking up the Rhodes with the contact mic.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And then so that's how. So in this last song, you were not doing the scratching noises and so on. Like yesterday, we were hearing some of that.
Right. Yeah.
So that is just with the contact mic then.
That's with the contact mic, and then I use some different materials to draw out some of the natural sounds of the Rhodes. Like I have a kitchen knife and some brushes and chains and mallets, and the idea behind that is to how can I recontextualize this instrument so that I'm not just trying to recreate playing a piano.
Yeah.
And so I mean it's not a new idea. I mean, prepared piano is a perfect example, or people do prepared guitar, but that's something I've been kind of researching and coming up with some different ideas about in this last year to really make my performance on the Rhodes a completely different thing than when I'm playing piano. And I think that's kind of been the main idea behind this tour, also just exploring that a little bit more deeply.
Right.
And I'll put like a bowl on it too. I was doing a little bit of stuff last night.
Oh, yeah.
Getting sounds out of it was a tortilla chip bowl from a restaurant in Appleton that the drummer and shaper was very generous to lend me.
Wait, did he steal it then?
He stole it.
Okay. All right. We won't name names then. Yeah, so you mentioned earlier that the album Shadow Sets is all on just a piano, an acoustic piano.
Yeah.
And on this tour, you are recontextualizing those pieces on the Rhodes with this pedal setup and all of these sort of external noise makers.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to the album yet. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
But I am curious. So the bowl sounds that you were using last night, how does that translate from the album into your live performance?
Yeah, I think something I've been trying to do is like almost boil down the pieces I wrote on the album to like the bare like aesthetic ideas that are behind them. And so when this tour first started, I was, I think, more explicitly trying to replicate what I was doing on like solo piano on the Rhodes, and it was working to an extent, but it felt like it was like I just needed to find a different thing to do with this instrument. So I think like the sounds with the bowls are just coming from more of like aesthetic ideas I've been thinking about over the last
More
year.
recently.
Yeah, more
Okay.
recently, yeah.
Okay,
definitely more
so
recent.
you're adding new elements to these
Yeah,
pieces on
yeah,
this tour.
it's
Okay.
an extension of,
Okay.
of some of the stuff that, or some of the ideas that this record is grounded in.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were doing sort of percussive and scratchy type sounds on the album or not.
No, no, I'm
Okay.
not.
Cool.
Oh. Have you thought about like once you're done with the tour, kind of like recording a different version of the album now with the Rhodes?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do a solo Rhodes record, and I think that's gonna be a project in the future. It's also been fun. I felt like some of the things I've developed on the Rhodes have been influencing my just straight up piano playing. And in Omaha the other night, I did a concert on a piano, and which was, of all the concerts I've done on this tour, I think I've played 2 or 3 on acoustic piano. So it's kind of a rare thing now. And but it was the first time it felt like some of these ideas directly translated. So from like some of the ideas from the Rhodes playing directly translated into what I'm doing on the piano. And I did some more stuff with like preparation, and they were kind enough to let me do that. But also like, drawing sounds out of the instrument with some of the tools I have here, like brushes and mallets and things. But yeah, I'm curious to see like how it's gonna evolve going forward, if it'll keep being these separate worlds or if they'll kind of merge a little bit more. But I definitely would love to do a solo Rhodes record or something like that eventually.
How do you get it started on the Rhodes?
So yeah, this Rhodes was in a basement in the music building at Lawrence at the school, and they have like keyboards and stuff that they use. And I don't know when the last time they had 2 Rhodes in the basement, and one was in better shape than this one, but I don't think they had been used in 20 years, or
Yeah.
for good reason, because it's so heavy and like.
Well, it's an inconvenient instrument, but I mean,
Yeah.
the sound is
Yeah.
iconic.
Right.
It's not like it could be much worse. Like
What do you mean? The condition of
inconvenience.
this one?
No.
It could be
the
like
inconvenience.
rolling a harp around
Oh, for
or
sure.
something.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It's just heavy, really.
Yeah. But they were, I mean, I asked them if I could buy it off of them, and the director of the jazz program was like, well, is the other one in okay shape? And it's in much better shape. And she was just like, well, okay, you can just take this one then if you're going to fix it up. And
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, and that was the other thing too, is I really wanted to be able to play out, and there are a lot of great keyboards around, but I wanted something that felt like an actual instrument and not just like a manufactured piece of plastic. And this is certainly that, and it comes with, positives and negatives. Like there's a lot of things that need to be fixed and tuned up on it, but I'm sure that's the case with, people's saxophones or like trumpets or whatever. And I think as a piano player, I've always been kind of envious of folks who have like they found an instrument that's theirs. So it's kind of my attempt to make this mine.
Yeah. There's nothing better than salvaging an instrument for a good deal. Like free, for example.
Free is the best deal.
Yeah. My Barry sax I got for $400.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was in pretty bad shape, but then I only had to spend like a couple $100 more to get it into working condition.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm very proud of that.
Nice.
So as we were talking about your pieces evolving as you're playing them on this tour, a good question, I think, is to what extent are these pieces composed? Like, what are you writing? What are you what's the concept behind the piece? I don't know how much you're improvising or writing. I have no idea.
Yeah, sure.
What's your process for these pieces?
Well, it's evolved a little bit. On the record, there's a lot of composed material, and then sections where there's improvising. And for the Rhodes, it kind of been like I'll have ideas of zones or techniques, I guess, if you want to call it that, that I want to go into, but there's not really anything composed specifically for the Rhodes, just more broader ideas about how I want to play. But I think with the music that I do write, I've been trying to write in a way where it's pretty loose and the composed material can be different every time. And like the improvising, maybe, I guess a better way to say it is like the improvising dictates how the composed material can be played. Okay. In certain instances. I mean, this last song is just like, that's a song. I do it very similarly every time. But in other pieces, it's more like, here are like a few different sections that I know I'm gonna at least touch on. Maybe not completely or maybe not at all, but they're in the back of my mind, and I'll let the improvising sort of guide me through them or not through them. So that's been sort of my process with the solo stuff, at least. I think it's a little bit easier to make that happen than when I'm just by myself than with a group. And, you know, group pieces are often more like kind of straightforward or like have a clearer roadmap, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What you're saying kind of sounds like what Carlos described to me, what the Carol Trio does, where they have some pre-planned material, but they don't plan like if they're going to play it or where. Yeah. And then one member of the trio will just start into it at some point in their performance.
What's the Carol Trio?
They're from France. So they were here in town a couple of weeks ago. I did not see their concert, but then they were also playing with the laptop orchestra from the university. And yes, somebody who talked to them was talking to them about like how they go on organizing the performance. And yeah, it sounds like they have some pre-composed like riffs or chord progressions or things like that. And they have been playing together for like 20 years. So they don't know exactly when these things are going to pop out or if they're going to pop out, but kind of like in the middle of an improvisation, then maybe somebody just starts doing that and then they all just jump in. So they can go pretty fluently between stuff that is very free and then things that are clearly pre-composed.
Yeah. I'm always amazed by groups that have that, like, you know, develop such a group language that they can do that. I mean, a big influence for me is the saxophonist and composer Tim Byrne, who I think models his music in a similar way, where it's like, oftentimes the composed stuff is like very, very composed, like new music kind of ideas in a more jazz setting, but then the improvising can just lead it in any direction, and if the group is like, I think, cohesive enough, people can like choose to ignore sections and it's really that kind of communication really blows my mind.
I really like the concept of choice in music. Like, individuals have their own free will, like, full stop. Like, you can play or not play. You can do whatever you want. It's about time for me to play a Grant spot here for the station. Do you want to play another tune for us after that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll get this queued up, and then we'll hear some more music from Matt.
Support for KRUI is brought to you in part by The Broken Spoke. They offer new and used bicycles, cycling accessories, and also service all kinds of bikes. They can be found in Iowa City at their new address, 757 South Gilbert Street. For more information, visit thebrokenspoke.com or call 319-338-8900.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, this is iHearIC Radio on KRUI. In studio today, we have Minneapolis-based composer, pianist, improviser Matt Blair, and that was a live in-studio performance. What's that piece called, Matt?
That one was just an improvisation.
Oh, okay.
There's no name.
Gotcha. Okay, that's why you didn't mention a name before you started playing that.
Yep.
For the listeners at home who could not see anything that you were doing, would you like to explain sort of what you were doing in that improvisation?
Yeah, and I guess I would also just like to say that a goal for that kind of music or sound is to, if you couldn't see what I was doing or what I was playing, you'd have no idea. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys would, but
I don't know. I think
you wouldn't really be sure what is making that sound.
Yeah.
And maybe that happens or not, but
you don't
anyway.
have to reveal it on mic if you don't want to.
No, I'm happy to. So we were talking about the contact mic hooked up through the pedals before, and so the start of that piece was the contact mic is picking up key clicks from the keyboard on the Rhodes, and I was looping those, and then was using a brush that a drummer would use for drumming.
Right. Yeah, a wire brush.
A wire brush, that's what it's called. To manipulate the contact mic a little bit, and was also rubbing a mallet on the Rhodes to get that sort of like wind. I don't know. What are those things called that people?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Whirly something.
Yeah,
right?
Where you like spin it over your head. And
I think it's just whirlies. Maybe
that might be right.
It's sort of like a vacuum tube.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You spin it around in the air. Yeah, we're all spinning our arms in the air for the listeners. I know you can't see us, but we're doing the motion of what you do with a whirly.
Yeah. And so that I was using a mallet to get that sort of sound, and then the looping pedal has a few different effects options where it can either double the speed of the loop or half the speed. So at the end, I had brought the initial loop down and then used the half speed function on the pedal and brought that back in. But yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. So pianists typically don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So how did you get started using these electronics, using all these percussion implements? Where did you start using those in improvisations or music in general?
I think I just got more and more inspired by different sorts of like noise music and some different improvisers that use rely mostly on extended techniques for their instrument. And sort of the question I kept asking myself is like, I get what extended techniques are on the piano, but what is an extended technique on a Fender Rhodes? And so this is kind of what I've come up with so far. But I mean, there's a ton of people I can name that I've been inspired by, like the piano player Chris Davis. She does some amazing preparations, and Sylvie Courvoisier also does more stuff that's similar to what I'm doing with like using different objects to draw out sounds from the instrument. And then the guitarist Fred Frith has been a big influence, and he plugs in through a bunch of pedals and does prepared guitar. I think that those are some of the main ones that main people I've been listening to that have kind of caused me to start thinking about some of these ideas.
Yeah, for sure. Fred Frith is the Henry Cow guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I knew the name. I couldn't remember exactly who the guy was.
Is he? No. Is he also in Naked City?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
He played bass in Naked City.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard that stuff. I've never really gotten into Henry Cow, but do you guys know that stuff?
I haven't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that I should listen to.
Yeah.
I assume. I mean, I like his other work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came to Lawrence and did a solo concert my senior year, and it was
Oh.
like
Awesome.
kind of earth shattering. So
Yeah, I think that would be a good experience.
yeah.
How much time do we have?
I mean, we got started at about 3:50 or 4:15, so
Okay.
we could go for another 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But I mean, I we can do whatever you guys want. I mean, if you just want to keep playing, that'd be fine.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I can play some more.
all right, is there anything that we want to talk about before we jump in? You could just tell us what you plan on playing, if you have a piece in mind, or if you're just gonna improvise some more.
I'll probably just improvise some more.
Okay.
All right,
This
I'm
next
totally
one.
down with that.
And maybe do one more piece at the end or something.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Sure.
All right.
All right, so Matt's gonna go get set up again. He's planning on improvising some more music for us. And while he's getting ready, I'll just remind you, you're listening to KRUI in Iowa City, 89.7 FM on the radio, streaming online at krui.fm. The show is called iHearIC. We do this every week. The schedule is in flux because the Iowa Memorial Union, where the studio is located, is shifting over to summer hours. So keep an eye on our social media pages to know when the shows are happening. I'll try to get a schedule that's a little more reliable going. But yeah, that's the current state of things. So here's Matt Blair. That was Matt Blair with a Fender Rhodes improvisation. Hey, Matt, that was a little bit more of a... What's the word I want to use? Conventional Rhodes sound.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to the previous improvisation.
Yeah.
What were you thinking for that one?
Yeah, well, another thing that I've been checking out more and being more influenced by being out of school now, it's like minimalism and minimalist music, and I think that sort of comes from in school. For most of my time there, I was really sort of like jazz focused, and I think I started to realize that while I love that music, it maybe isn't the right thing for me to be doing as like a, how I want to base my career or whatever. And so I've started to check out more, like a bunch of different kinds of music, being out of school now and having more space and time to do that. And also as a way to kind of tilt my playing in less of like a jazz direction. And I guess by what I mean by that is like sort of traditionally like linear line playing, like scalar stuff, bebop meets free jazz or whatever. Yeah. And well, I love that stuff, and I think there's a time for that. But I kind of wanted my solo music to be able to investigate some other ideas, and so I started listening to a lot more minimalism. And at Lawrence there's a great deep listening community. The dean studied with Paulina Oliveros and
awesome.
Stuart Dempster, who is in the deep listening band. He's the trombonist. His son is married to the dance professor at Lawrence, so he would come a lot, and he conducted the Terry Riley piece in C. And so I was lucky enough to get to perform in that, and that was sort of like another one of those like earth-shattering, like, whoa, here's a whole universe that I didn't know existed. So, and I've finally given myself the time to like actually invest in it. And so what you just heard was something maybe a little bit more based in sort of that minimalist, like just picking a sound and staying there for a while. So.
Yeah, I really like the concept of minimalism as like a creative guiding principle, I guess. Like the idea of using a little, getting a lot out of a little. Like you limit yourself to something like a very small idea and just like see how far you can stretch it.
Yeah.
And even if it's not interesting, like at some point it might be again. So you just keep at it.
Yeah. And I've also realized too that I think music is like an incredibly calming source in my life, and I realized that more as I've had like a kind of consolidated time of lots of consecutive playing, that like I can just like relax somewhat when I play, and I like music that relaxes me also. So I think kind of following those feelings has led me into this direction too of like some sort of more spaced out like minimalist stuff. Even like like Morton Feldman too has been a huge influence, and I think it's like a whole different kind of minimalism. But that's a whole other world that we could talk about.
Yeah, Feldman's really interesting. Have you heard his second string quartet?
I don't know if I have.
Is that the 4-hour ones or
6 hours?
Oh, no, okay. Then I know about it, but I haven't heard it.
I'm pretty sure it's the second one. Let me check. But I saw a performance of that last year in Chicago. Yeah, that's the 6-hour one.
Nice.
by you went all the way there.
The Spectral Quartet. Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We sat.
You stay for the whole 6 hours.
Yep. I sat through the whole 6-hour piece.
Amazing.
No bathroom break.
I did leave to go to the bathroom. I think just once.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was very dehydrated, obviously. Yeah, it's interesting to see like what happens to a live audience in a setting that's that long. It's like all of the rules. Yeah, the rules of classical audience is just like You have to ignore it at some point. Like, I have to look at my phone. I can't just sit here for 6 hours with nothing, and people just get out of their seats and just lay on the floor. It's too much, you know?
Yeah. It'd be a crazy thing to experience. I would love to see that.
It was really interesting. Yeah. It was a good time. All right. So we're getting pretty close to the end of our time here today. I wanted to just plug a few things. Maybe we should let Matt go first since he's our guest. Do you want to plug anything you have coming up on the show today?
Well, if you're listening and you're in Chicago, I'll be there tomorrow at Elastic Arts. I think the show starts at 8 p.m. And if you like any of this music, you can hear sort of a different version of it on my record Shadow Sets, which is available at Bandcamp and all of the streaming services or whatever, if you go that route. But I think that's about it. I want to plug. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming down and playing with us, and thanks for coming into the studio today. I'm glad you had a day off to just hang out.
Yeah, me too.
Your website is mattblairmusic.net,
That's right.
Correct? Okay.
Yep.
You can find all of his stuff there. Carlos, do you want to plug anything while we're here?
I don't think I have anything going on. Yeah, no.
Okay, cool. Things are kind of dying down in our universe right now. I can bring up a couple things. We should have a radio show next week, May 20th. It may be around the same time. I may try to get in later. I don't know what's going to happen, but we will have a guest. I'm going to announce it before I confirm it. Kent Williams will be joining me, Chair Crusher. And if that doesn't work out, I'll let you know online. I just uploaded a video of the Wombat set from the Feed Me Weird Things concert last night. That's up on my YouTube page, youtube.com/Justin K. Comer. You can check that out if you're interested. I'm releasing a new collection of tracks with my friend Jason Palomara this Friday, May 18th.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, we've kind of kept it under the radar, but the collection is called Relics. It's sort of like just a bunch of like unfinished projects from the past few years that we just sort of finished up and put out in an order that sort of works. Yeah, and Jason's working on sort of like an interactive video thing to go along with it, so that'll be new. And you can check out our stuff at jc-jp.com, and that'll be out on Friday, as I said. If you like the show today, we have like 20 or so episodes from before that I recorded. If you go to our website, iHearIC.com, there are some links at the bottom of that page to our iTunes, Google Play, and Mixcloud profiles where you can listen to all of those. This one I'm also recording, so you can play it for your friends later if you enjoyed it. We're also on the usual social media places, Facebook and Twitter, and youtube.com/iHearIC for 200 or so videos of concerts from the past 7 years, I believe. Wow. Yeah, there were some predecessors before Carlos and I took it over. We didn't go over the history with Matt. And if you have music you'd like to share with us, or you have shows coming up that we should know about, you can contact us at ihearic@gmail.com. We're kind of on a break for the summer, but we still would like to hear from you.
Yeah, we'll be back in late August, and then we'll have a concert every month until early December, right?
Well, and even into May.
No, I know, but then, yeah.
We should have 10 concerts in a row, starting in August. Right?
We do one in January?
We have been, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, then never mind, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so we'll be on a break for 2 months and then 10 more concerts after that. Matt, would you like to close us out with a piece?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to say anything about
it? Yeah, tell us about it, because I think I'm just going to shut us off after you're done.
Great. All right. So this is a piece entitled To PS and RM, which is a dedication to Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe. When I wrote all of the music on this solo record, I was living in New York and was reading her book, Just Kids, which is like a memoir, I guess, of her life as an early artist in like the 60s and 70s, with living with Robert Mapplethorpe in New York City. And I was like incredibly inspired by their dedication to just making art. You know, even when they were so poor they had to steal bread for dinner or whatever. And I never kind of pushed myself just to like make something every day for a consecutive amount of time. So while I was living there, I wanted to kind of do that, and I gave myself the goal of writing a piece every day for a month. And the best pieces from they're all on this album, and they were then like developed over the next year. And so this is the last piece that I wrote of that month, and it's the first track on the record. Cool.
All right, sweet. So this is 2PS and RM, composed by Matt Blair. You can hear the original recording of this on his album Shadow Sets. And today he will be playing a newer interpretation of that piece on the Fender Rhodes piano. And once he's done, we will be done. So have a good day. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.